Hey everybody, thanks for joining me here at PowerModz. You know, the old PowerCat 200X, looking pretty good. Some guys don't like what I've done to this, but you know what? I think this is pretty darn cool. I can always convert it back to a three-wheeler if I want, but this is a lot of fun. You know, I had an issue with the stator, just replaced that. I've got my spark back, so I should be good to ride today. But one of the issues I'm having is with this front tire. It's too soft, it loses air, it's all weather cracked, it's an old tire. So, ATVTiresCanada.com sent me this swamp light here. It's a 22 by 7 by 11, so it's going to fit on that 11-inch rim. I'm going to install that today. It's going to give me lots of traction. It's going to look very good, just like that back tire I got on there. That's another swamp light. These are great tires. It's going to be fun to put on. Not really, but I'm going to show you how I came up with changing these ATV tires. They're a little harder than usual because of the bead. These things are beaded big time. And that's why a lot of the tire changing facilities for cars and trucks don't like to touch these, just because it's so darn hard to get that old tire off and the new one on. So I'm going to show you what I do. There are a couple different methods. I'm going to just do this one simple little thing. I made my own tools, and let's check it out. Now these tires come off pretty easily. Bit of a trick to it, but not too bad. Always make sure you use your little magnetic tray. Keep all your bits and pieces in. That's probably pretty loose there right now. This big long axle shaft just threads through the other side. Comes out pretty easily. But you have to take the tension off these four little nuts. This retainer here. Just pop that out. Now this rim comes in contact with this brake caliper, so I'm going to have to get that off there. Got a big trip planned in the next couple of weeks. Going to be some good footage as usual. Things get a little crazy when we head up to the backcountry. Not your typical kind of ride. Now we remove that disc. Seems like kind of a weird way to hook everything in all together, but it is what it is. Now this is a messy job, swapping tires onto rims. I'm telling you right now, boys, she's a dirty one. That's why I'm wearing the grubbies here. I've already done a couple today, and that's why I'm doing it this way. Now, I'm going to pop that hub off. I don't want to damage anything on there. Then we can get this tire off this rim. There we go. Now you can see how this is all cracked in here. That's why I'm losing air. These are pretty low pressure tires as well. Pretty soft. A little tougher to turn on this bike. Yeah, it's a little different with that one wheel on the back compared to two. So I'm hoping that swamp light's going to work out great for me. Let's get this off the bead. I know I'm going to get a comment. Place is dirty. Got to make it look more professional. It is what it is, boys. I have a full-time job. I'm doing this for fun. So sometimes just don't have time to clean. Make sure you get all the air out of this tire. That's the main thing. I don't have my valve stem puller right now. Can't find it. I'm just using the old nail on the valve stem trick. So I've tried a few different ways. I looked on YouTube to see what could be done to get these tires off the bead. One guy cuts a big hole in the tire. He takes a cutting tool and he cuts all the bands. And that's the big issue. There's steel bands in that bead and they really hold on to it tight. Another guy takes a torch, burns out the strands there, and it's just not a good thing, especially dealing with an aluminum rim. I know for sure it would wreck the aluminum rim, which this one is. I tried to use the hoist. I lowered the hoist on the bead, wouldn't pop it. Tried the board method, put it on a board on top of the tire, drove over it, wouldn't do it. And this is the only way, I'm not gonna lie, I found this on the internet. This is more or less a tool. You're gonna use leverage to get this off. There we go. I just took a piece of rectangular tubing, welded a bolt in the end of it. Have another one here as a bit of a guide. That's all I'm doing. I'm going to use leverage to pop that bead. Sometimes, and actually with the last tire, this wasn't long enough. I had to extend it out a little bit more. I tried this on the front of my truck, lifted the truck, good portion, so it made it pretty rough, not controllable. Used the old rack up there with, I don't know, a couple thousand pounds worth of stuff on it. Lifted the corner of the rack. It's pretty tough, but this will do the trick. The last tire I did, just sort of need to flip it around a little bit, reposition this thing, and it'll do it. There's no sense paying the shop $40 or more. Do something you can do yourself. There we go. Believe it or not, that's the easy part. I got to get that tire off that rim, and then I got to put the new one on. Let's do it. Let's do it. Ideally, I'd have this rim mounted to a bench, nice and tight, but I don't have anything made up right now. My bench is pretty messy. So I'm going to do it here on the floor. This is just soap and water. Makes things pretty nice and slippy. Makes it a lot easier to deal with. These are just pry bars. Just getting in here, popping them over. These old school, really loose rubber type of tires, low pressure ones are a little easier to get off. When you're dealing with the newer tires with a really tight bead, they are tricky. They are buggers. I'm just working my way around to pop that off. Now, as you can see, I'm just using one of these pry bars as a bit of leverage to get that off. That's it. This side should come out pretty darn easy. That's it. Now we get to put that new one on. Before I do that, I gotta put a new valve stem on it as well. This one's pretty old, probably not gonna last. A lot of you guys are probably watching this saying, "Who's never changed a tire before?" Well, you're right, I never have. Until a couple days ago, I changed 2. That's it. So this is my 3rd. Now, if this were a steel rim, I'd come in here, clean all the corrosion off the inside of it. But this nice new aluminum rim, well, new looking, on this old school bike, looks actually pretty good. No dirt on there at all. I just popped this out with a old pair of pliers. Looks good. Now, I don't know if everybody does this. I'm gonna do it. I'm just using a little bit of this rubber cement on here. Why? I don't know. Just in case, I guess. I don't have one of these fancy tools to install this valve stem, but you don't really need one. A pair of pliers did it just fine. I'm gonna use this vise. I'm gonna put the rim in it. I'm not locking it down really hard. Technically speaking, you want it sort of pulling down on the bolt holes, but I don't have that ability right now. That's it. It's just on there, kind of loosely like. Got my vice grips on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lube up this rubber. Dry rubber going on aluminum is really sticky. So hopefully this will make it slip a little bit easier. I also want to make sure that the tire goes on in the proper direction on the front because of the valve stem. The valve stem you want on the opposite side of the disc and the brake rotor. So that's there. It's going to go on this way. And I'm going to lube this up. This is obviously a tubeless tire. This is going to get nasty. Maybe. Yeah. These vice grips are more or less just guiding that bead down onto that rim. Now you could use a big screwdriver. I found these little things here on the bench. Those are Keeleys. But a screwdriver would work. That's it. That is not fun, ladies and gentlemen. Nope. Not fun at all. Just gotta add air. So I don't recommend beating a tire like that unless you really know what you're doing. It can get you in a little bit of trouble. Just saying. If you're not comfortable doing this, find a garage that will, but it's tough to find them. You know, I went to a garage the other day, I'm not going to mention any names. There were 5 guys standing around, no cars in 5 bays. And I asked the guy at the counter if he could change a tire, and he said he'll have it done in a couple of days. And it was a tire changing facility, it wasn't just a garage. Pretty sad. People don't know what service is anymore. That's just a sad state of affairs. Also makes you wonder, when they complain so much about the economy and that there's no work out there, they won't take on the job. It's kind of weird. We're threading this axle and make sure that you don't use the impact on it. It's white metal and you do not want to cross thread it. You want to make sure this one's done right. Man, those swamp lights look great on there. I got to thank ATVTiresCanada.com. They are great to deal with. Very cheap shipping in Canada, and most of these tires that I've ordered have been on my doorstep within 1 to 2 days, depending on what time of day I ordered them. I think one of these oddball tires took a little bit longer to come in, but for the most part, everything is in stock. And the service is excellent. Again, ATVTiresCanada.com. I got to thank you guys for coming back, checking out the old PowerCat 200 here. Hopefully she's going to be up and running really well. Make sure you come out and check my new forum out. I know I keep saying that it's going to be there, but it is going to be up and running hopefully this week. where you can come talk to the guys, check out the different builds. It's going to be a nice interactive area to come and play and chat. Thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, baby. Looks bad.